right, let's get this party started. Good morning, Mayang Buntag, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, streamers of all ages, welcome once again to my weekly livecast, where I try to address some of the things that are going on in the Philippines. Today is Thursday, spiderweb, so I was just outside. September 14th, 2017, the first day of the rest of our lives. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Welcome to the Philippines Dreams Weekly Livecast, where I regularly attempt to address issues that could affect foreigners living, studying, working, retiring, or doing basically anything in the Philippines. I'll try to talk about the good, the bad, and the occasional downright ugly. We've got a couple things to talk about today. Of day-to-day life in our humble island archipelago. I think I pronounced that right. People keep correcting me on that. I read a lot. I don't talk a lot. The live stream comment section is open. Ask questions, goof around, but try to keep it civil and respectful. If you're going to be a dickweed, you're probably going to get pulled, as in banned, as in come back next time, under another anonymous username. This week's corporate sponsor is Thin and Cheap Chinese Towels. I love these things. So thin, so cheap. Featured in such high-end local outlets as Unitop and Tops and Bottoms, cheap and thin Chinese towels take the mildew out of the Philippines' mildew season, also known as the rainy season, by providing colorful, quick-drying after-shower or swim delights. Meticulously fabricated by 100% organic and locally sourced exfoliated Chinese children, cheap Chinese towels provide an ideal alternative to the thick and slow-drying, luxurious, witch's claw, terry towels that you'll find in the West. Cheap and thin Chinese towels. Get yours today. And as always, we're coming at you in glorious 360p half HD, courtesy of PLDT. 8 megabit DSL. Hopefully it's working. I'll check in a minute. This is streaming at about 800 kilobits per second, so you're probably going to be experiencing buffering and that stuff if you're watching this live. All right, the stream health is video output low. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. So apologies about that. Yeah, there's going to be lag. It's PLDT is supposedly 1 megabit upload speed, and I've turned off everything else in the background that I can that could be using bandwidth. But hey, that's just life in the Philippines. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about another internet issue in a minute. All right, so there's our corporate sponsorship for the day. Thank you, Cheap Chinese Thin Towels. You guys rock. And when I say this, and I'm saying it tongue-in-cheek, and I'm being kind of sarcastic, but I much prefer the cheap Chinese thin towels to any thick, heavy terry cloth towels, because those take so long to dry. Basically, you don't have clothes dryers here most of the time, so you're hanging it out. And when it's 84 degrees and 90% humidity, it takes a long time for thick towels to dry. Hurricane Irma. I know somebody was asking about that in the comment section. Yeah, that was a beast. The United States was actually pretty lucky, because by the time it made landfall, it had lost a lot of its speed. But still, in the Florida Keys, I guess they lost about 25% of the residential and corporate buildings down there, which is pretty bad. Luckily, my folks were in an area that was basically unaffected by the hurricane. They still have power. Irma was, I guess, the most powerful storm ever to roll in from the Atlantic Ocean. And it's got that other one, Jose, fluttering around somewhere down there. And, you got increasingly warm waters are going to be making for increasingly powerful storms. And that's basically, our typhoon. On to internet. I went down to Sky Cable yesterday because I was getting sick of PLDT and its horrible 1 megabit upload speed. A while back, Sky Cable had the 50 megabit download, 5 megabit upload for about 2,000 pesos. I went there yesterday only to find out that they had stopped that program in Dumaguete. And when pressed, the Sky Cable employee told me that the marketing team After a while, they had it, and then they decided to pull it. They have business plans for 50 megabit download speed, but those cost 25,000 pesos a month, and you have to have a business with a TIN and all that. So I'm not going to spend that much for internet. What I think happened was as soon as they started offering it, so many people snatched it up and so many people availed themselves of the program that they realized that they were going to lose a lot of, their capacity. A lot of the blocks that they had, that they purchased. I think everybody purchases from PLDT. I think that's the backbone here. Globe and Sky and everybody and Phil Products purchase blocks off them. And they realized, they can make a lot more money by doing something different. Unfortunately, it's a case of that would have been a good system. 50 megabit download, 5 megabit upload is pretty freaking good. But I am no longer able to avail myself of that. And also, we're still having problems with the internet here because of the storms on August 29th. There was a typhoon northwest of the Philippines, and you had those ships dragging their anchors, which did some damage to some of the cables there. All right, going to the comments section. Don't forget to freeze your credit reports with the big three. Yep. Ned for president. Thank you, Anthony B. Appreciate that. I heard The Rock's going to be president too. Michael Letts, morning from Georgia, USA. David Pike, get some rain. Yeah, man, we've been having some rain. And I am glad I am in this part of the Visayas because the rainy season here isn't that severe at all compared to other areas like Luzon, Leyte, those areas. And the other day, it rained literally all day. It rained for about 24 hours. And I was, basically had cabin fever by about hour 16 or so. It was pretty bad. It was pretty nasty. Luckily, that weather front came through. The next day was absolutely gorgeous. Not yesterday, but the day before. It was breezy. The humidity was down. I think it was down to about, 75%, which is pretty good for here. And it was really beautiful. So it's this part of the Visayas when it comes to rainy season. That's why I bought the truck. When I got here, I'm like, okay, there's the rainy monsoon season and all that. I'd heard horror stories about it, so I got this big ass truck that I never used. Michael Letts says my dad lives in Spring Hill, Florida, moving there next week. Florida's nice. Florida's really nice. I guess it's the third most populous state in the United States. I didn't know that. It's very flat. And they have a lot of raptors. There's like all kinds of hawks and eagles and all kinds of things. The weather there, I've only been there like April, May, but it's beautiful. It's actually too cold a lot of times. When I go to visit the U.S. and I head down there, it's actually too cold. All right, moving on to YouTube. YouTube is continuing to demonetize a lot of videos. And this comes from a knee-jerk reaction. Their advertisers were complaining that, there was a lot of questionable content being associated with their advertisements. So they were upset about that. And there was some pretty crazy stuff, some pretty crazy videos up there. And what's worse is the comment section. The YouTube comment section has long been a veritable cesspool of just all the worst of humanity. Again, a lot of times these people have anonymous accounts. It's not like Facebook where you have to verify your identity. And basically, the worst comes out of people. There was actually, I forgot who it was. I think it was a mathematician who said that on the internet, within 5 minutes, any discussion is going to turn into comments about Hitler, Nazis, and all kinds, even worse things. So I understand it. These live casts typically get demonetized because I'm talking about things like extrajudicial killings, some things that are going on locally here in the Philippines. And I guess advertisers don't like that. You can appeal it, and then they allegedly manually review it, but a lot of times they'll confirm that it's going to be demonetized. Which brings us to Patreon. Shooting and editing videos and photos, writing blog articles, and responding to subscriber comments and private messages is work. A good deal of work with all the demonetization that's been going on. And if you found what I do to be of some value, consider supporting the ongoing efforts on my Patreon site, www.patreon.com/Philippine Dreams. The link is in the video description box. And continued thanks once again to everybody who has supported the site, both financially and with continued positive or constructive negative feedback. It is much appreciated. This is also an open channel. My YouTube channel and my website is open. If you are a smaller website if you are a smaller YouTube channel and you got some cool content. It could be snorkeling, it could be, information on sublime travel vlogs, knowledge on Filipino culture, traditions, mythology, musicians, dance crews, whatever it may be. If you want to promote yourself on my channel, feel free to send me an email at myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. I actually got a couple people that submitted articles, and those are going to be going up eventually. Thank you for that. Shout out to David and Thomas. If you've had unique experiences, no matter what it might be, or if you feel like you have a story to tell about something, or you just want to get something off your chest, shoot me an email over at myphilippinedreams@gmail.com and share that, because that is what this whole internet thing is about. It's sharing information, it's sharing perspectives, it's sharing stories, and it's putting things out there to increase the macro knowledge level of the human species. And it can be a beautiful thing, except when it comes to the YouTube comments, which often denigrate into another thing with it goes Hitler, Nazis, and then it usually goes into racial epithets. I don't know how to pronounce that. So again, this channel is an open channel. If you want to promote yourself, feel free. Also, if you keep sending me messages from the Wayne spam site, that's WAYN, please stop. Wayne is basically a spam site, and I don't want all my contacts getting Wayne invites. Trivia question. All right, get ready for some free stuff, people. Let's go to the comment section first, make sure everything's working. Larry Villanueva says, I heard they want videos 10 to 15 minutes to be considered quality content. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm not sure. I know that they don't want swearing. They don't want anything too edgy, anything too out there. Because again, they're finally, and if you've been on YouTube and you followed the comment section YouTube for years, you'll know it's freaking ugly, man. It could be a video on anything. It could be a video on butterflies or puppies. And eventually the comment section is just going to take on a life of its own and get extremely ugly. Demonize results in demonetize. Yeah, that's a good one. And I mean, I can only imagine, because my content's, PG at the most. So I can only imagine what's happening to these other guys. All right. Let's get into this trivia question. Last week's trivia question was, this band hired its last frontman vocalist in 2007 after seeing performances of their songs on YouTube. Some folks claim that the new singer, who happens to be Filipino, is even better live than the original vocalist, who himself was pretty dang amazing. Name the band's Filipino singer. The correct answer, of course, was Arnel Pineda, who is, actually did a Wikipedia check on him. He's actually 50 years old. He looks like he's about 25. And as a result of guessing the correct answer or knowing the correct answer, Roger Jr. and Jim H. were both sent a free copy of my outstanding ebook, Chasing Your Philippine Dream, an Expat's Guide to the Philippines. And if you haven't got the book, I recommend that you get the book. I've only gotten positive feedback from it so far. And it's got a 100% money back guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, you can not return it, but you can keep it and then ask for a refund after 30 days. And I've only had one person actually ask for a refund because somehow, I don't know, they went to the wrong site. They were trying to renew their driver's license or something, and somehow they ended up buying my book. I don't know. All right, so this week's trivia question. First two correct answers, email to myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. Get free copies of the book. And this one's a pretty easy one because it was about 15 minutes before the live cast and I had to think of one quick. This week's trivia question, considered by many to be the first Philippine hero, or conversely, as I like to say, the first Bureau of Immigration officer. This gentleman was involved in a major battle on Cebu Island in 1521 and now has a big red fish named after him. And even if you go to Hawaii, they call that big red fish the same thing. First two people to email the name of this Philippine hero to myphilippinedreams@gmail.com gets a free copy of my book, a $10.95 value, at any of your local book retailers. And yeah, there's a bit of revisionist history with this guy, because the Philippines wasn't actually the Philippines back then, but he's still considered the first Philippine national hero. And he was actually uh, the guy who got killed in that big battle of 1521 was a European, but he was actually fighting for the Prince of Cebu Island, I believe, at the time. Also, this guy, the guy that they named the Big Red Fish after, he is reportedly, after he died, he didn't actually die. He turned into stone and is protecting the waters of Mactan Harbor. And that's why sometimes you'll see fishermen or ferry pilots and stuff throw coins out into the water. I thought that was pretty cool. Going to the viewer comments real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Got 72 watching. Welcome one and all. Yep, everybody's got it. That was an easy one. Again, if you know the answer and you want the book, you got to email me. And a lot of people actually emailed me the correct answer, but it's the first two that get there. Anthony B says Steve Perry was the best lead singer. Yeah, and I kind of agree on some things. But that Arnell kid, man, he can sing. And his story is actually a real rags to riches story, because I believe he was born and raised and lived in Tondo, which is that big, huge slum up in Manila. Lee for Life says, hello there, first-time live watcher. Just wanted to check in from Richmond, Virginia. Keep up the great work. Carry on. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Michael W. notes that 300 hours of videos are uploaded to YouTube every minute, and I believe that. And I got to give, you got to give YouTube and Google and all of them credit for the algorithms that they utilize, because sometimes I'll upload a video and I won't realize there's background music playing in the back, and it'll immediately be flagged for a copyright violation. Green Bay Packers all the way. All right, let's get into this. If you guys remember the video I did on cooling your hut house in the Philippines, I noted that there was this tree that grew within like 2.5 years. When I first moved into the house, it literally was not there. If you go back to the old videos, you won't see anything there. And then all of a sudden, and it seemed like overnight. Now, either that or I just wasn't paying attention. It was like the frog in the slowly boiling water. All of a sudden, there's this huge tree casting shade along all of the yard. And a number of people emailed, messaged, and left comments correctly noting what kind of tree that was. And the first one to note that it was correct was Harlika Maharlikan. And he noted, or she noted, that I think the tree beside the mango tree is an Arateris tree, if I'm not mistaken. To which I replied, bam. You got it, Harlika. Thanks so much, because I was doing all kinds of research trying to figure out what it was. I was even bringing in neighbors to the yard trying to figure out what kind of tree this was. In Bisaya, they refer to it as manzanitas trees. They are a healthy fruit tree that grow up to 10 meters within a few years. And again, it literally wasn't there when I first moved in. Studies have shown that manzanitas, also known as Jamaican or strawberry cherries, because there's actually these little fruits that hang off of it, provide antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antipyretic, analgesic, cytotoxic, hepatoprotective, gastroprotective, cardioprotective, antibacterial, anti-ulcer, insecticidal, and antifungal properties. And the parts of the tree that can be utilized for all this is bark, leaves, and flowers. The thing's leaning a lot. I was actually thinking about making like a concrete buttress for it so that it doesn't fall over. So I'm really concerned that it's going to fall over. An article online goes on to note that the ripe fruit is very popular among Filipino children. I guess as they get older, they don't eat it as much. And the fruits are processed into jam, and the leaves are used for making tea. All right, another viewer comment. We got a lot of viewer comments I'm going to be responding to. And this one is Aspins Ascals. Avery Santos, who's Filipino himself, noted that Filipino street dogs are no longer referred to as Ascals. Around 2006, and I think it was started by the PAWS movement, which is the Philippines Animal Welfare Society or something. A movement occurred which changed their name to Aspins. and I think this is a Pinoy Pride thing. It's actually a portmanteau, Ascal and Aspin. It's actually a portmanteau, as it's not really a contraction, because it's not like do not, don't, of Asong Kalye and Asong Pinoy. Asong Kalye is Tagalog for Asong is dog, Aso is dog, and Kalye is street, so it's street dog. And when they refer to it as Asong Pinoy, they're referring to it as Filipino dog. Now, I didn't know this. I was not aware of this. I've been here for quite a while, and I was not aware of this. And I actually asked Angel. I said, do you know about this whole Aspin thing? And she was like, yeah, I know about it. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me? Because I've been referring to this whole time as an Ascal, as a street dog. And, she was just like kind of hesitant in replying. And she says, well, I didn't want to embarrass you. I didn't want to shame you by, saying that it's actually Aspin. So there was, she was trying to protect my amor proprio and not bring not to bring shame on me. So appreciate that, Avery Santos. So it's Aspin. It's not Ascal. I'm sure the street dogs are all upset that I've been calling them Ascals the whole time. All right, back to the comment section real quick. I got a sore throat. Dun, dun. Ziggy Pop says, one advice I took from one of Ned's videos was don't meet Simone on the internet. Just come over and meet someone. Don't send money. Yep, you'll hear every person who's been here for a little while saying that same exact thing. That's just not me. People are noting that there's a lot of lag going on. Yep, thanks to PLDT. Street dogs. Michael W. notes that street dogs have their own union now. Yeah, I guess there was, they now have there's protected safe spaces for them. There was all kinds of microaggressions going on, I guess, when they heard people referring to them as Ascals. So now they have that safe space for them. All right, moving on. Mark Thomas asks, Mayong buntag, Ned. Good afternoon, Ned. No, good morning, Ned. I have a question. Aside from the heat and humidity, with all the steel bars over windows and such, is no one worried about a fire in the home and getting out alive? To which Expat Jim, not a clue, said, fires are certainly possible, but his house is made out of concrete and rebar, not wood. So nowhere near the fire risk that exists in the States, where everything is made of wood. And then Mark Thomas replied, but the interior of the house has combustibles, which could create tons of smoke and toxic gases. Being an ex-fireman, I've seen more people die of smoke inhalation. It really doesn't take that much, not all like portrayed on TV. To which Expat Jim, not a clue, you're right about that. But much less sources of internal fires. I was also a fireman. To which I finally responded, because I'm always late. Here's a little secret just between you and me. I'm responding to Mark Thomas here. The grates on my windows are absolute junk and could actually be kicked out without a whole lot of effort. I have a few motion alarms, a bolo in the bedroom, and a rather territorial Aspin, to make up for the cheap grates. Also for fire emergencies, there are also 2 doors out of the house. I've actually got that question quite a bit. People concerned about the window grates. And a lot of people asking about, hey, Ned, I noticed a lot of places there have window grates. Is, opportunistic street crime, burglary that prevalent? And yes, it's a poor country, and people, can target people that they think have money and break into their house and steal their stuff. So then Michael W., I believe Michael W. is in the stream right now. He commented on the Sabanal's acoustic audition. If you saw that video actually came out pretty good. I was actually pretty proud of that video. It took a little bit of editing. The Sabanals, the 2 sisters and their brother, did an acoustic audition. They were trying to get more gigs, and they got the gig. And the video came out pretty good. But Michael W. commented, if you plant some large trees and bushes around the group, it will make them even cooler. To which I replied, well played, sir. Well played. Excuse me. Yeah, still feeling that bug. That's pretty good. So he was actually doing a contraction of 2 of my videos, Cooling Your House and the Sabanal's acoustic audition, saying that I should plant trees around them. That's cute. Next up, FL Woods 1. 3 days ago. He commented on my video, Behold Misadventures Part 4, Ladyboy Butterflies, Who'd Thunk It? And he said, I know a late comment, but we did the Butterfly Sanctuary last week and had the great fortune of getting Delphin, Mr. Comedy. And that's spelled Delfin. He's a gentleman who was a tour guide at the Behold Butterfly Sanctuary. Couldn't imagine touring butterflies, laughing our butts off. By the way, how big is your butterfly, Ned? Where's that pic? Looking forward to renting one of the cabins. Yeah, Delphin's a cool guy, and he was very funny. And it was cool that you were able to get him as a tour guide. That's pretty good. I like that. Good stuff. Share the dream. That was one of my favorite places over in Behold. That's before the trike actually ran over those two dogs and just threw me into a tailspin. That was rough. Surfing Blackie says, how often do you get chased by dogs in the Philippines? I have never, ever been chased by dogs in the Philippines. And I don't know of anybody that has. You'll see them barking at strangers every now and then. Now, what I think happens, and this is just a hypothesis based on, a couple of years of experience here. I think if a street dog, if an Asong Kalye or Asong Pinoy is overly aggressive, that they get taken out with extreme prejudice at an early age. Because again, a lot of these dogs are running around. They're running around people's neighborhoods and all that. And if you get an aggressive dog, he's going to be taken care of pretty quickly because you got all the kids running around and stuff too. Gene Nelson says, hey Ned, looking kind of pink. Not a Filipino yet, LOL. Hey man, this is my color. I got a ruddy complexion. I'm pink most of the time. When I'm out in the sun too much, I turn red. I haven't really had a super tan. Well, I got a little bit of tan on my arms. That's pretty good. But I haven't had a really good tan ever since I was a teenager. Alcohol blush. No, it's not an alcohol blush, man. Drinking coffee here. Instant coffee. Learn how to build a bamboo rat. That's a good idea. And if you guys did you guys see the picture of the rat that Angel killed that I put up on Facebook? She's vicious, man. She is vicious. Next comment, Amvet. Amvet noted on the video that I did commenting on your cooling your hothouse in the Philippines. He stated that I left the Philippines because the burning rubbish was affecting my health. Yeah, it's an issue. I mean, when you're constantly surrounded by piles of burning trash and noxious diesel emissions and all that, it can get pretty ugly, especially when there's not much of a breeze going on, when the air is, still, that smog's building up. If you're living in a major metropolitan area, it's even worse. It can be rough. And what's weird is, and I've noticed this before, and I've said this before, and I'm repeating myself, but you'll see everybody rides around with masks over their face to help filter out all the smoke and fumes and all that stuff. And then when they get home, they rake up all their leaves and trash and stuff and light it on fire. So I haven't been able to figure that one out yet. Again, a shout out to Daniel for submitting an article on meeting his long-distance relationship in the Philippines. And I hate to stereotype, and he hasn't answered me yet, but he looks Filipino. I think he's either Filipino-American or maybe he was OFW or something. And he came over here and met his long-distance relationship finally and wrote up a nice article on that, and we're just getting some more information. Next up, DU30 Duterte commenting on my Honda Click review, and I got to do an update on that. He says you can't go wrong with Honda motorcycles. I totally, absolutely agree. Name brand motorcycles here in the Philippines, Yamaha, Suzuki, Honda, they're just fantastic. I am now a lifelong Honda devotee. I am a Honda fanboy. I love my Click. The only problem I've had with it was a bulb went out on one of the taillights. It only stopped partial on it, and it was like 50 pesos. It was like $1 to get replaced. That was pretty good. John Isom noted, I used to get a couple dogs barking at me when I came home late at night in Dumaguete, so I started feeding the neighborhood dogs. Pretty soon I had a dog pack guarding my house. Yeah, And actually, and people that have been here for a while, you guys have noticed this, and it's pretty cool. Once you move into a neighborhood, all the dogs are going to bark at you every time you come in. But after like 3 or 4 days, after a week, whatever, they all recognize you and they stop barking. And that's pretty cool because when the dogs in my neighborhood really start barking, we all know that there's an actual stranger in the neighborhood, and they get checked out. Mad Max says, how much is a dentist? Girlfriend said 3,000 to get a wisdom tooth pulled out. BFF said 500. Yeah, if your girlfriend is saying 3,000 pesos to pull a wisdom tooth, yeah, it's about 300 pesos, 500 pesos. Craig Jacob says, Ned, do you have a doctor here that you see for your back? I need to see a sports doctor or orthopedist. Thanks. Yeah, email me at myphilippinedreams@gmail.com and I will give you that doctor's name. He's at Silliman University Hospital. Gerald Dadon says, any natural product should be made into compost. Yeah, that's the thing you don't see happening a lot here. And with all the heat and humidity, you would think the composting process would, move along at an accelerated rate as compared to other places in the world. Adventures in the Philippines note, had a root canal done in Manila 6 years ago, cost was 2,000 pesos. Yeah, I forgot what mine was. That's horrible. My memory's shot. Yeah, Mad Max, now she's saying, so she went from 3,000 to 1,800. Yeah, if this is a long distance relationship you're having with this woman and she's saying it's 3,000 pesos or 1,800 pesos to get a tooth pulled, yeah, might want to double check that. Dun, dun. All right, moving on. Thomas Quinn. Thomas Quinn, this is actually a pretty cool comment. I like when people put some effort into it and they kind of make it funny. So Thomas Quinn noted that heat, humidity don't bother me that much. I have fans, no AC, but the sun plays back honky cat on my skin to no end. Get back, honky cat. All kinds of skin maladies since I've been in the Philippines. Boils, ulcerations, red ants, and mosquitoes love white people, and I feel the love. Yeah, I've had the boils. I haven't had any ulcerations, I don't think. Gotten bit by all the red ants and mosquitoes and all that. Yeah, we're exotic blood, man. We're something that's not too common around here. So mosquitoes and everything else loves us. It's like going out, in the United States, going out for some real Thai food or some real authentic Chinese food, something exotic. All right, let's get into the news. I only got one news article today. And this has to do with the Philippines Commission on Human Rights funding, tasked with investigating the thousands of people who have been killed since President Rodrigo Duterte began his war on drugs. The Philippines Commission on Human Rights now has another daunting challenge, a budget of just $20. The commission had initially requested $34 million for 2018, only to be awarded the massive reduction Tuesday by lawmakers, the BBC reported. The cut from 2017's budget of $15 million to $20 was approved by a margin of 119 to 32 in Congress. So it looks like there's a message being sent here. So again, this passed through Congress from $15 million, or they requested $18 million, down to $20. This was passed 119 to 32 in the Philippine Congress. Calling out Duterte's many supporters in Congress, Congressman Lagman said his colleagues were virtually imposing the death penalty on a constitutionally created and mandated independent office. Although the commission is largely viewed as a critic of the president, Speaker of the House Alvarez suggested it suffers from corruption. He said, if you want to protect the rights of criminals, get your budget from the criminals. The motion now moves on to the Senate, where it is also expected to pass. Meanwhile, the Interior Ministry proposed late last month to increase the police budget for anti-narcotics operations to $17.5 million, an increase of 4,400% from the previous year. So again, it's about priorities, it's about sending messages, and I'm just going to let that article speak for itself. And finally, And this is actually some really good news, although it kind of makes me sad. If you guys know, I've been doing some videos with Vendetta Bands, the Sabanal sisters, and their brother Andre. They're very talented. They're very good. They're very, very nice people. You know, when you hear that, that horrible stereotype about Filipinos just being nice people, that's what they are. They're just nice people. Uh, Something has occurred, and hopefully it's not concrete. It's not definite yet, and I haven't got their permission to mention it. But it's very positive, and I'm very happy for them. And hopefully more information will be coming forthwith. It's good. It's good news for them, but it's sad news for me. So good for them. And in the meantime, PewDiePie is causing chaos, dropping N-bombs on the internet. People are completely insane, and all that stuff. Anthony B says, Ned, can you get a circumcision in the Philippines? I guess so, sure. Actually, they do circumcision here at a rather late age. I just remembered this. I remember seeing, oh God. Yeah, they don't do it when they're babies a lot of times. They actually do it later in life, and they actually use nursing students to come down and perform the procedure. Gerald Dato noted, I got a regular molar pulled for 500 pesos. Yeah, that's about the going. That's about the going rate. Gerald Dadon says, LOL, you date wrong Pinay and mess her around. She cut you for free. Yeah, yeah. Yes, Sledgeka, I know my stream is buffering. Good day from Australia. Thank you, Mr. Sledgeka. Surfing Black, he says, any allergic reaction to any Filipino food? No, I haven't had. Luckily, I don't have any food allergies to this point. Anthony B says, mix burn easy. Yeah, yeah. It's my heritage, man. I can't help the color of my skin. It's just the way God made me. I haven't had any allergic reactions to any of the food here, but I'll tell you what, I guess I am one of the 18 to 20% of people that are allergic to mango trees. We have a lot of mango trees around us, and I constantly have to have my supply of sertrazine. Sertrazine right here. Ha ha. Sertrazine, also known as Zyrtec in the United States, because all of a sudden, out of the blue, I'll just get these horrible sneezing, fits, to the point where it's like just sneeze after sneeze after sneeze after sneeze. It's nasty, it's vicious. And when I say that 20% of people are allergic to mango pollen or whatever it is with these mango trees, that study actually came out of Florida. Because I guess what happened was there was a lot of people retiring and moving to Florida, and about 18 to 20% of them discovered that they were allergic to mango, because I guess there's a lot of mango down in Florida. And I'm not a big fan of mango anyways. I wish I was, because it's all over the place here. But I tell you what I do like about the Philippines, I was just talking about this again yesterday, is that, what's that? Oh, that Philippine tea, that apple flavored tea, C2. C2 tea is one of the most delicious things I've ever had in my life. It's like freaking ambrosia. If you guys live here, you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. When I go back to the U.S., I'm always sad because they don't have it unless I go out of my way to go to a Filipino store. Dun, dun. Adventures in the Philippines. Have the pesos converted to dollars and wire from a U.S. dollar account and the PI to the U.S. I don't know what you're talking about. Anthony charged by the size of your trunk. Yeah. One thing they recently did, a lot of banks did, because the best way to get money over here was to just come over here, open up a U.S. dollar account, bring your checks with you from your home bank, the United States or wherever, and deposit the check here and wait, 20 to 30 days for it to clear. There was no fees or anything, and it was the best way to get money over to the Philippines. And then a lot of banks got hip to that. It's like the whole fee thing in the United States. You get charged for fees on everything. Credit cards have like maintenance fees. What the hell are they maintaining? It's a little piece of plastic that I carry around in my wallet. Anyways, so the Philippine banks got hip to that, and now they're all charging fees for doing exactly that, depositing a Western check and waiting for it to clear. Yeah, don't use Western Union to send money, anything like that. Although I guess in a case of emergency, it's good. Gene Nelson asks, how are the Balik Bayon box rules going? Again, I haven't heard of anybody who's been hit with the tariffs and the fees, but I have had a number of people say that when they went with LBC or Forex in the United States to send a box here, they went over the detailed list, the companies, and they said they got to declare the value, and they told them that anything over $200, around 10,000 pesos, could get hit with that tariff and tax. I haven't heard of anybody being hit yet. Hawkeye asks, where's Bud? Bud's over there. Bud's not too far away from me. He's got a drone. I got to get my drone shit going. I got to keep up with Bud. Yeah, Joseph Jacobson noticed, and again, I don't want to talk about their stuff because it's their business, but he noted that one of the Sabanal sisters just won San Jose's Got Talent. Yeah, and they're actually in Manila doing another audition, so that's pretty cool, man. I told them if they ever become super famous, they have to hire me as their photographer, their official photographer, so that I can have a nice cushy job, be part of the paparazzi. That'd be cool. Yes, Larry Villanueva says, did you hear about the murder in Dumaguete last week? Guy was shot off his motorbike. Yeah, it didn't happen too far from the waterfront. Filipino gentleman was killed. Was murdered. There was also a foreigner killed a couple weeks ago, not murdered, but he was riding his bike. He had a yellow Kawasaki Rouser 200 NS, the same kind of motorcycle I had. I believe this was up in Iloilo on Panay. And something happened, and he impacted a jeepney at a rather high rate of speed, and he was killed basically instantly. And from the photo, and again, here in the Philippines, though, they got no problem showing the photos of the bodies. He didn't have any shoes on. I don't know if he was knocked out of his shoes from the impact, and he also didn't seem to have a helmet. And again, when you hit something at a very high rate of speed, you can be knocked out of your shoes, your helmet, and all that. Ugly. Western Union offices were all empty. A lot of scammers use Western Union. Yeah. And again, and God bless them. I mean, they're hustling, they're working hard. They're going through all kinds of texts with people. They're doing, messaging and all that stuff. Like if somebody says, hey, I want to come down and visit you, but I don't have any money for the bus, and the bus is like 310 pesos, and they want you to Western Union, 310 pesos, and they say they have no friends, they have no family, they have no Facebook, and all this stuff. You're probably getting scammed. But again, if you feel like they've worked hard and, you want to reward them $7 or whatever it is, help them out. Danny Williams said, Ned, just visited the Philippines for the first time last week. I experienced so many things, and I've been hearing about from you. It was awesome. Glad to see that you had a good time, Danny. Glad to see that you had a good time. Because I just got a message from a guy, and he's been a long-time subscriber, and he's contributed a lot to the website in particular. And he had a really bad experience here. He came to Dumaguete, and things went south rather fast. I'm not going to get into the details, even though I don't mention his name. But he got into a bad place, and it's just too bad. And sometimes bad things will happen. Bad things definitely happen here. They happen everywhere in the world, but bad things definitely happen here. Danny said, even riding a trike at 6'1" and 210 pounds wasn't that bad. Yeah, those trikes are tough at 6'1". Meeting the woman that I've been conversing with every day was more than we even dreamed of. Good to hear that. Danny goes on to say, thank you for the videos and God bless. Yeah, I need all the help I can get, man. Gene Nelson says, I want to do a Palawan trip next time. Heard it is not safe anymore. Just check your local State Department, warnings and all that stuff to see what's going on in Palawan. I mean, they've had some issues up there. They've had some problems. They also have those saltwater crocodiles and those giant freaking king cobras. But El Nido is beautiful. All right, so that's basically it. Thanks to everybody who took part in this live cast. Thank you for your comments. Keeping it civil. I didn't have to ban one person. The only person I had to ban last week was that Dave Phelps, one of somebody who's, impersonating Dave Phelps. Dave, man, people really unbelievable. Oh, and then Psychosis, stop with the fake accounts using my name, man. I know it's you. Stop doing it. Sheesh. All right, again, everybody be well. Drink your Pilsens. Stay out of trouble. And thanks again for taking part of the live cast. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. Peace.